In the aftermath of devastating Typhoon Rai, 3 million people are now in need of dire assistance in the Philippines. The archipelago was battered by one of the worst typhoons in history. At least 177 people have lost their lives as of now. More than 275 people are injured. More than 650,000 people have been uprooted from their homes. The United Nations humanitarian coordinator in the Philippines visited the affected areas and said that these casualties are going to rise in the coming days.
We can conclude as a result of this mission that Rai has been devastating. What I saw in my visit is roads covered with debris, electricity networks down, hundreds of houses without roof, and of course the impact of people. You can see people along the border of the road between Butuan and Surigao desperately asking for help, and they are asking for emergency shelter, drinking water, food, and for their livelihoods.
On December 16, Typhoon Rai intensified from a tropical storm to a super typhoon within hours. As it made landfall, parts of the central and southern regions of the Philippines were left with no communication and electricity. With maximum wind speeds of 195 kilometers per hour, houses and buildings were then turned into heaps of rubble. Some central islands were even completely leveled to the ground. Now, because of loss of communications, the United States and the United Nations have now expressed concerns about the interruption of the COVID-19 vaccination campaign in the Philippines.
We are very much concerned about the interruption of vaccination campaign in this area, and this was shared by the Department of Health in situ. In the sense that, just an example, the fact that there is no electricity, this is affecting the cold chains for the protection of vaccines, and at the same time the labs and in the evacuation center is quite difficult to ensure the respect of social distancing, the use of masks.
It is important to note that the location of the Philippines makes it more prone to natural disasters. It is even ranked as one of the world's most vulnerable countries which is facing the consequences of climate change. It is hit by an average of 20 storms and typhoons every year. But as we told you before, the path of the Typhoon Rai was unpredictable. It intensified quicker than was anticipated, and authorities in the Philippines were not quite prepared adequately enough for this natural disaster. Moving on, let's get you the latest information on the floods in Bolivia. Heavy rains have triggered a deluge in the country's hilly areas. And landslides, as of now, have put dozens of homes at risk. In a suburb of the capital, La Paz, structures have been teetering on the edge. Residents have sought emergency shelter in a local school amid fears that their homes are too dangerous for them to stay in. A weather alert remains in place in the region as rivers flow above the danger mark.
Quince familia no wale afectado nana que utanacar umerina que sabe no sé cómo halta pre utanacar halspe utat rajata con rajadora na que sara aksaran hama hakanya utan patia smith hakinyan sataka visino na katapachan na siris.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.